Hi guys, we're going to go ahead and practice one more experimental design with Scrap Me Capped, and then you'll do three for homework. So let's see how you did on this one. Here we had the scientists at a major pharmaceutical firm investigated the effectiveness of an herbal compound to treat the common cold. They exposed each subject to a cold virus. They gave him or her either the herbal compound or a sugar solution, also known as the placebo, uh, known to have no effect on colds. All right. Several days later, they assessed the patient's condition using a cold severity scale ranging from 0 to 5. They found no evidence of benefits associated with the compound. So they had no significant difference between the cold severity of the herbal compound and the cold severity of the sugar solution. Okay. So then they wouldn't want to sell that and such. All right. What's our explanatory variable that we're talking about here? Well, we're talking about that type of cold remedy, right? And so then there was the two different kinds of that. That was the herbal compound and the what was it? The sugar solution. All right. Now, state the response that was being measured. Okay, so we would look up here and we would see several days later they assessed the patient's condition using a cold severity scale. So we were measuring the patient's cold severity on a scale of 0 to 5. Now, I guess five's the worst and zero is the best. I don't know. Okay. So state your parameter. Okay, so if you're going to get all of these people's over here, individual numbers, you can have all these, we don't know the number, but you're going to have a whole bunch of numbers in this group. You're going to have a whole bunch of numbers in this group. What are you going to end up doing collectively with these, so that you can compare? Well, because it is quantitative, we'll be getting the average. So what we're wondering is what the average cold severity improvement is, or um, average cold severity, you know, with a particular treatment, I guess, the ones that they had here. All right. So let's do this. Here we go. Start with the subjects that you have. And did we say they said, so it just says they exposed each subject. We don't know how many or anything. Okay, these were just subjects. They did not have a cold. Okay, so we're going to start with, hopefully we would be given some kind of number of subjects who do not have a cold. Okay. Randomly assign them with a big bag. So I'm going to randomly assign the subjects to a treatment by putting strap me cat. Make sure you say shake well, by putting them in a big bag. Shake well. Okay, that shake well is a very important component. It could be the difference between you having full credit or partial credit, because that is what is indicating that randomness to that selection out there, or assignment out there to the treatments. Okay, putting them in a big bag. Shake well and pull out half of the patients. Oopsie. Half half of the patients. Okay, so here's my treatments. State your treatments very well. Okay, to the herbal compound solution, and the other half to the sugar compound. The placebo is really what it was. The fake. Okay, probably make it look and taste the same. All right. So we did our treatments. State your treatments very well. Now, measure each subject's response to them. Okay, so I'm going to measure each Just want to start with those words because you are indicating the result from every individual patient. Measure each patient's cold severity. Uh, was it like after a certain number of days or something? It just said several days later. Okay. Okay. Um, their cold severity several days after being exposed. Okay. So several days after being exposed to the cold virus. Brr, 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 and we want to say that is on a scale of 0 to 5. Now, I probably should say with 5 being the worst, 5 being the worst cold symptoms. I probably should have done that in the problem. Okay, so we have all these individual numbers. Now, what are we going to get with all of those individual numbers? And I hope that you can tell that you're going to get an average, not a proportion, but those are quantitative, so we'll have an average. So we want to compare the average of those two groups. Compare the average cold severity of the herbal compound patients to that of the sugar compound patients. Okay. And then remember the new thing to see if there is a significant difference in cold severity. Okay. We found that there wasn't, but anyway, but that's how you do your write up. Done. So by having this mnemonic device, I know and I feel confident that I've included all of those components that I need to. So the next question is there blinding in this experiment? How do you know? And if there is blinding, what kind of blinding, single or double? All right, so let's remember that single blind means that the patient does not know if what treatment he or she, they're unaware what treatment he or she is receiving. Okay. Double blind means that the other person who has that interaction, an evaluator, somebody who may be looking at a patient and seeing how they feel. Okay. So that subject or that person also does not know. It might be the doctor or whatever. So in this case, what do you think? Was there blinding? And the answer is that because a sugar compound was used, if it looked and, tasted, I guess, I don't know, whatever thing, like the herbal compound, the patients would not know which treatment he or she was receiving. Okay. So that's important. Now, let me tell you something. AP wise, what also is important in this explanation. In this explanation, it is clear that I know the definition of blinding because I'm kind of restating the definition, but I'm also stating it in context. So I'm not just going, blinding means the patient is unaware, and yes, there is that, or whatever. But I'm elaborating on why there was that. Okay. And then we don't know, not enough information to determine if there is double blind. Double blind. And if I had more room and such, I probably would say, since we don't know if the doctor or whatever, then we don't know if it's double blind. Now, why or why not might blinding the subject be beneficial in this experiment? If beneficial, how could you carry out the blinding? Oh, we already know how to carry out the blinding because we had that. So I guess I can't answer that part. So what do you think? Our result we're measuring is cold severity. Well, who's telling us that? Okay, the patients themselves are telling us that. So that truly, and patients have different pain tolerance levels. Okay, so the patients themselves then are going to have a subjective response to how they feel. And we know that if patients think they're getting a medicine, then that could make them think, ooh, I'm getting better, or ooh, I feel better. This cold is not so bad. Okay. So, because the response being measured is subjective, you know, then the there could be a psychological component. There could be a psychological component to how the patient feels. In order to remove that placebo effect, placebo effect, um, we had a placebo in the experiment. All right. And then the other one, we had it, and so we don't need to continue with that. Okay, so there is the end of the video. And so now you'll move on to do your questions. There's 3 of them for you to strap me capped. Okay.